Hello and welcome to this taste challenge. This morning we have Canadian Club small batch, aged 12 years. Aged 12 years and introduced in 1984. It's been kind of rebranded and updated, newer bottle last few years. But you might see the old bottle in some stores, but it's been around under kind of alternative names. There's like 3 different names of it now anyway, for 35 years. All right, and what does small batch mean? Well, it just means it's smaller than the normal batch. There's no specific size, so it could just be a little bit smaller, and it's a small batch according to the US government guidelines. Imported Canadian Club, small batch, blended Canadian whiskey, classic 12, aged 12 years, hand selected, fully matured Canadian Club whiskey, patiently aged for 12 years. Kind of making a point there, huh? For superior quality and character. Batch number C12-30. This is a 750 milliliter bottle, 80 proof. Thank you, John Neely. He gave this to me as a gift. Deerfield, Connecticut. Awesome. Well, I'm not going to read that essay on the back. So it's produced in Canada, but it's actually bottled in Illinois, Deerfield, where they make all the Smirnoff flavored beers, rubberized cork. One good thing about these, they don't fall off into the whiskey like the real cork. It'll flake off and then you'll get sediment. I don't like that too much. CC, Canadian Club. You say, what's it going up against? I'm going to show you. Hold on, let me pour this. I don't think it's going to be much of a challenge. Now, you might have noticed this morning, earlier today, I did Heir to the Throne. That's coming up. Heir to the Throne versus Royal Canadian. And I thought I could tell them apart, and I was having trouble, and I thought I noticed some differences, but I was wrong. I got them mixed up. So what did I conclude? Well, considering that Royal Canadian is $8.99 a bottle, and Heir to the Throne was $15.65 a bottle, and I couldn't tell them apart, then Heir to the Throne loses to the much cheaper Royal Canadian. Okay. Now, this bottle talks about how it's the perfect blended Canadian whiskey and all of this. I don't think so. It's nice looking, okay? That's why I bought it. It comes in a nice box, fancy, purple. Looks like Crown Royal. They're trying to mimic Crown Royal. Nice cork, you know, but it really wasn't that great. Not terrible. It's actually far from terrible, but it's just not remarkable. It's sort of ordinary for the price. And that was on a closeout price. So imagine what it was when it was the regular price. All right. Got half the bottle left after the taste challenges. So now I've got so many Canadian whiskeys that when I do a taste challenge, once I go through each brand against the other brands, it takes up half the bottle. It'll get to the point soon where the bottle won't survive the challenge. You know what I mean? Like by the time I'm finished with the challenge, the whiskey will be gone. Okay. I have to sip some of it down to even it out. Is it going to be a challenge? Not really, because look, Canadian Club, we're talking about 12 years against a no age statement, which is minimum 3 years. We're talking about a well-known brand against an unknown brand, maybe even non-existent today. And look how much darker. The Canadian Club is rich amber, caramel. Whoa, look at that. 12 years in a charred, probably used Jim Beam barrel. And then Heir to the Throne in a used something barrel. You say, what? What's the used barrel? I don't know, McCormick bourbon or something, you know what I mean? Can you get bourbon whiskey, straight bourbon whiskeys and all from off-brand companies like Strange, independent companies? You know, I shouldn't say all that because in the craft beer world, they'll say that's what makes it the independent companies. You can get all of those things. Now, whether they're as good as the mass produced, I haven't found that to be the case. I've been seeing a lot of McCormick blended whiskey around. I'm not buying anymore. Don't dislike it. Don't like it enough to go buy some more. You know what I mean? It's just, okay, we've had that. We know what that is. Although I am tempted for the $5.99 a bottle. Heir to the Throne, $15.65 a bottle. Canadian Club, about $24 a bottle for that 12-year small batch. So you would hope and pray, and I got to close my eyes because it's going to be too obvious. You would hope with the appearance. You would hope and pray the Canadian Club would beat it badly. Let's see here. Jason Pietras commented 627 to 632. Experienced some technical difficulties on our last review. Hangout. I'll have to look at that. 627 to 632. 5 second. Could have been. Or I don't know. He might be making a joke. But you get these little internet hiccups, but things would be garbled. But I haven't had that problem in 2 years. But who knows? It could crop up right now, and then my videos will be all screwed up. But we'll see. Would I recommend the Canadian Club small batch 12-year? Certainly would. Heir to the Throne, I would recommend it with reservations. It's okay. I would never dream of paying more than $15.65, the price I got it for, but you're not missing much. It's just so ordinary. It's slightly altered, different, but it's not totally like everything else, but it's not remarkable. There is some little idiosyncratic things about it, which might make you want to pay the $15.65, but I wouldn't pay more than that. If it said $16, I don't think I'd buy it. But for 35 cents, maybe I would. I don't know. It's up to you. It's your call, but rich wood, rich char, caramel, dried flowers, vanilla, candy corn, lots of saturated wood and tea. That's got to be Canadian Club 12 years. It's got to be. It's got to be. Bland. Some nut almond extract. Candy corn. Everything on here is just mild. That twang is going away. See, that's what's screwing me up. Like when I first tried it, it had this weird twang, and then I've gotten used to it, so it's like faded in my sensory perception. So it's not showing up to be much different than your Sazerac flavored beers, blended Canadian. So it's fine. But the Canadian Club 12-year small batch, that's awesome. You know what I mean? It's like an A+. You say you're crazy. Nobody would think Canadian Club small batch would be an A+. I mean, you might not think it. I think it. I'm only drinking for me. I'm tasting for me. I'm telling you what I'm thinking now. I'm not going to say, oh, well, let me start changing my channel so people will be satisfied and I'll be credible, as they say. No, because I had somebody tell me, you're always giving B+, B+. I said, well, if the next 1,000 reviews are a B+, that's what it's getting. Because that's how I feel about it. I'm not going to start changing scores to mix things up. This is not a contrived channel. I mean, it's only contrived in the sense that I pick things and I choose what to do, but everything else is legitimate and true. I mean, that's a fact. All right. So obviously the 12-year age, it's rich. It's very deeply charred. It has Jim Beam Bourbonesque qualities, not the cellar mold or the greenwood, no, but some just Jim Beamian character. I don't know. I think when Jim Beam bought Canadian Club years ago, they might have started using their yeast strain. You would think not, like they would not tamper with the product, but there's something about it. When I tried the Kessler, The Jim Beam, Canadian Club, 5-year. Canadian Club, 6-year age. This, the what else? The Beam's 8-star. Jim Beam Choice. They all have this under the surface commonality, and it's like a yeast strain, and I can't explain it, but if you drink on them and think on them, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's like Anheuser-Busch products. It's like there's a common yeast thematic, and then you say, that's Anheuser-Busch. Oh yeah, it's got that little twang this time because it's so counterpoint. Deep, rich, full, depth of flavor. And then that little twang that, see, when I went up against Royal Canadian, it wasn't differentiated enough. Thinner bodied. I think it's thinner bodied. Okay, so I'm going to say this is the Canadian Club 12-year. And it is. I don't even know why I put labels because it's so much obviously more darker. Okay, is the Canadian Club 12-year worth the extra $9? $8.50. Oh, yes. I think so. It's a lot of wood, though. Some people say, oh, no, I don't like that barrel. It tastes like I'm drinking a barrel. It's too much wood. And well, that might bother you, you see. So this one might appeal to you more. It's a little thinner, more traditional Canadian whiskey. You know, your average, if you want to say run-of-the-mill, I wouldn't use that terminology because it sounds like I'm being negative. Just your normal Canadian, blended Canadian whiskey, this would be more like what you're used to. Okay. This over here would be more like what bourbon drinkers are used to. It can't be called a bourbon. And why is that? Because it's made in Canada. It has to be made in the United States, any state, not just Kentucky. That's an old wives' tale. That has to be made in Kentucky. I have had people at stores tell me that it has to be in Kentucky. I said, no, I can literally prove you wrong. And I'm not saying that to be ugly. I can cite a source. Well, I don't want to hear it. I said, well, you don't have to hear it. It's a fact. Okay, so facts can take you a long way. Like William Kepler said, facts got him a new car with no money. Okay, lemon law, facts. He didn't go with opinions. Well, I think and I believe and I assert. But what did he assert with? He made an assertion with facts. Quantifiable, documentable facts. Now, if this was made in Canada and it's at least 51% corn, and you know it's way more than 51% corn because that's the filler they use in Canada, just like the United States, Ireland, and Scotland. Of course, in Scotland and Ireland, they're going to call it grain whiskey or flaked maize, whatever. Same thing. You say, well, what about the other 49%? Well, those things don't really matter. It could be 49% straight rye. It could be 100% corn, wheat, barley, doesn't matter. Whatever admixture you want on that other side of it. But it's got to be at least 51% corn. Can't have coloring added. So see, if they added coloring, it would disqualify it as a bourbon. And has to be aged. Well, there's no time period for bourbon. You say, oh, yeah, 2 years. No, that's for straight bourbon. Okay, you got bourbon, straight bourbon, blended bourbon. All right, a blend of straight bourbons. True story. Now, so this could be a bourbon, but they don't qualify for it because it's Canadian. You say, well, it's blended. You know, it's a blend of different Canadian whiskeys. It could be up to. It could be like Crown Royal, 50 different whiskeys blended together. Some of these have an incredible amount of whiskeys blended together. Blending is very difficult. Now, some people poo-poo that. They say, oh, I don't drink blended stuff. It's got to be single malt. All right. If you read more about single malt and did your research, you might feel like you're not getting what you think. Somebody's getting something, might be the company more than you. But anyway, all right. It's like single barrel. You say, oh, I got single barrel. Big deal. You paid $40 more, but research that and see what you got. All right. But even if it followed all the guidelines to a T, it would not qualify as bourbon. Why? Because it's from Canada. And in Canada, they tend to age their whiskey in used bourbon barrels because, you know, it saves money and whatever. So they're probably using leftover Jim Beam barrels. You say, well, if you use it one time, it's not going to make a big difference. Doesn't matter. If you use that barrel once, the second time you use it, you can call it whiskey. Can't call it bourbon. And if it's from Canada, it wouldn't matter anyway. You couldn't call it bourbon because it's not from the United States. You say, well, that's just a bunch of technical stuff. It's almost like the letter of the law, but not the spirit of the law. That's right. That's right. Like champagne. Might be better than what you get from the Champagne region of France. Oh, but you can't call it champagne. You could call it champagne style wine, though, you see. You can get around it. You can call it bourbon style whiskey. I think Crown Royal ran into trouble when they called it bourbon mash. And some other bourbon companies said, oh, no, it's from Canada. So you noticed recently they changed it. They don't call it bourbon mash anymore. They call it something else. Can't remember the new name. But anyway, whatever you want to call it. Canadian whiskey, bourbon style Canadian whiskey would be a good idea. Does it taste a lot different than bourbon? Not really. Is it very similar to Jim Beam? Yeah. Is it owned by Jim Beam? Yeah. Would that make sense? Yeah. All right. Is Crown to the Throne? Yeah, okay. Good thing I didn't drink too much. Is Heir to the Crown, right? Is Heir to the Throne a decent whiskey? Yeah, sure. It's fine. Is it perfect like the label says? Far from perfect. Does it have some positive attributes? Certainly does. Is it worth $15.65? I don't think so. And that's the discount price. So see why it didn't sell? Will you ever see it? Doubtfully. It's highly doubtful you'll ever see Heir to the Throne. Now, the last question is, what's the purpose of even doing the video for a whiskey I can't find? My answer would be, good question. What is the purpose? You know, I can understand that attitude because you say it was pointless. You're doing taste challenges with a whiskey I cannot get nor ever hope to get. Well, I wouldn't go overboard with that because you never know what you'll run across. You can run across some really strange things. And I was at Star Fuel today. And I got to tell you, I ran across some really strange stuff that I've never seen before, ever. And I was shocked, literally shocked. And I almost took, I said, but I didn't do it. Like the Aristocrat 150 proof rum. I said, you know, $10.99. Then they had the Clan McGregor liter bottles, the old label. I was, you know, but so, man, you might go in some off the wall liquor store and find Heir to the Throne and be like commenting on my channel. I found it. I can't believe it. They got it in the big jug bottles. I'd say, I believe it. I believe anything now. This day and age, I believe anything. All right. Well, Canadian Club is far superior, though. At the end of the story, it's better. It's better. I mean, it's a better product. Sorry, Heir to the Throne, who may not exist anymore. Anyway, got two more, I think, unless I'm forgetting something. I don't think I'm forgetting. I have two more. Heir to the Throne. And this will probably be Thursday. Heir to the Throne versus Black Velvet. Now here, I think Black Velvet's going to lose because I don't think Black Velvet is very good. Sorry, Constellation Brands, but that, you know, hey, make a better product. Black Velvet is harsh. To me, it's sort of unpleasant. They say it's smooth as velvet. I'd hate to see a rough version. I swear I'd hate to see a rough version. And then they got the Black Velvet Reserve. The Reserve, aged 8 years. Wow, you aged it 8 years. That's all you got from it? But what if you put something in the barrel and aged it 8 years, but what you put in the barrel wasn't very good to start with? Guess what? You're not going to have a good result. It's not going to improve it, I don't think. It's just going to be an older, aged bottle of questionable item. That's risky to say. I know they got Black Velvet fans all over America. It's one of the top-selling Canadian whiskeys in America. This company makes millions of dollars every month off Black Velvet. That is not a joke. I'm just telling you, to me, it's not that good. I caught hell for Gibson's. I said Gibson's doesn't taste very good. In fact, I think it's the least enjoyable Canadian whiskey I've had. And I had some Canadians tell me, that's crazy talk. You're mad. You're crazy. This is super popular in Canada. It's $65 a bottle. And I said, I'm sorry. Look, I don't like it. All right. And I got to be true to the channel. If I don't like it, I'm going to say I don't like it. I mean, hey. Well, okay. So in a couple of days, we'll do the Heir to the Throne versus Black Velvet. I think it's going to be an easy one. Black Velvet's going to get destroyed. And then I think we'll do Black Velvet Reserve later in that day versus Heir to the Throne. And I don't think it's going to get destroyed because the aging does help it. But it isn't going to help it win. It's going to help it compete, but it won't help it win. It's going to lose. This is my prediction. The Black Velvet will be destroyed in the competition, and the Reserve will battle. It'll battle, but it won't win. It won't win. Well, you know, $9.99 a bottle, 10, 11, 12.99 a bottle for the Reserve. You ain't lost nothing. Thanks for watching this video production.